This is a maximal chunky boy shoe. I love the cushioning. You won't have to go looking for the plate, meaning you don't need to land in a very narrow or specific area of the shoe to get the benefits of the carbon fiber plate underfoot. Minded, I think this shoe would be a great choice for it. Honestly, I'm going to talk about that specifically. That pertains to the stability or stableness of the shoe. Hoka has released a completely new model in their lineup this year. After 40 miles and even racking up some miles in Disneyland and Mexico, I'm ready to share my opinions and review this shoe. It's time to run in the Hoka Skyward X. Probably the longest and most thorough review of the Skyward X you're going to see on YouTube. So let's get after it. Welcome to the Time to Run channel. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoy it. If you like what you see, please let me know by hitting the like button, leaving a comment, and even doing me the honor of subscribing. Any and all those things mean a world of support. If you're not new, welcome back, my friend. Your support has been instrumental in the growth of this channel and its reach as of today. Next, just know you can skip around the video if you want. If there's something that piques your interest, go for it. Jump around. I just ask that at some point you take the time to watch the rest of the video. I put a lot of work in these videos, so it means a lot if I see people watching them from start to finish. These shoes were sent to me for the purpose of review. This is my video, and as such, these are my opinions and observations. Hoka did not preview this video, nor did they provide feedback or suggestions prior to me posting this video here. I'm not sponsored by Hoka, meaning no one is giving me monetary compensation to review these shoes or make the video. Lastly, if you like any products seen in the video, I've provided Amazon affiliate links in the description. Using my affiliate link doesn't add any additional cost to you, so please consider using one of my links if you're planning on making a purchase. Thanks so much. Now, let's talk about the Skyward X. Well, Hoka says this is a neutral daily trainer. Hoka designed and labels it as an everyday shoe. It brings the benefits of max cushioning and then combines it with the benefits of using a carbon plate. Now, on one hand, Hoka really designed the shoe as an experimental shoe, meaning they built it from the ground up. They said they threw out the rule book and wanted to build a shoe that someone has a specific running experience in. And for them, it meant the specific running experience. They wanted a shoe that felt like a race day shoe while being a creature comfort shoe as a maximal daily trainer. I'll talk more specifically about my opinion and if I truly think it's meant for every day, daily miles, so on and so forth. But before I get ahead of myself, let's get started by talking about the overall fit of the shoe. I know many of you are curious if Hoka has done something different with this brand new line of shoes. If you're one to size up or if you stick with what your true shoe size is, I'm sure you're asking, how does it compare to Hoka shoes I bought in the past? Well, let's dive in and get that question answered. If you ask around regarding what most people I know have done for Hoka shoes, at least historically, I know typically most choose to size up about a half a size. At least that's what I would consider in US sizing. Now, some people will size up for a few different reasons. One being they simply need more space while out on their runs, in the toe box. Their toes get jammed up against the edge of the toe box in some way. Next, some runners don't like where the arch is or where it lies in the shoe, so they change their size to accommodate that issue. While still others use the shoe for walking and believe they need a ton of room in the toe box and fear that if they don't, it will result in their toes getting pinched or blisters. Well, believe it or not, often buying a shoe too large a size isn't a solution for the previously stated issues. In fact, buying a slightly larger shoe to prevent blisters or chafing could be the very reason why you're having trouble in the first place. But it's difficult for even a trained shoe salesperson to convince a consumer what they see as fact. That's why I'm not going to tell you what to do, but simply tell you as far as the shoe is concerned, I found this fit was true to size for what I normally purchase. What do I consider a normal shoe size for me? The size I purchased, or in this specific case requested, was a US men's size 12. The fit is perfect, no complaints at all. I didn't experience any sense that I would need to size up or size down. Each run meant my feet were secure and snug, and I felt the rocker was in just the right place for each of my strides. What's the rocker, you ask? Well, I'll be covering that in the midsole portion of this review. So now I want to ask you whether you're new or a longtime runner to the TTR community, the Time to Run community. Let me know how you stumbled upon the video. Even feel free to tell me a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, what kind of goals you have set for yourself this year regarding your running, other types of training, so on and so forth, and how all that's going at working toward those goals. I want to know. Tell me in the comments. Now let's move on to the upper colorways and overlays. Now as far as the upper is concerned, everything is very, very breathable, so expect to get great ventilation. I took these out during my recent vacation to Disneyland and Mexico, and despite the heat, these did a great job at regulating my feet's temperature. Granted, these were walking miles, however, during the last few weeks we had record-breaking heat, so they've been really great during my runs as of late in those conditions as well. This colorway is Blanc de Blanc Virtual Blue, and with this much red, white, and blue, I can't help but notice how very patriotic it is. Of course, there is the yellow outsole going against that America feeling, but still a great colorway, all things considered. Did you know that the vast majority of people like yourself who are watching this video right now do not even have a YouTube account? If this is you, I want to personally invite you to set up a YouTube account today. It's super easy, and no, I'm not being paid by Google or YouTube to say this. This is actually my personal request. It's simply an observation I've made from the metrics I've seen on my channel. Subscriptions are one important way of how I'm able to measure the success of my videos and what people want to see next. More importantly to you, by having a YouTube account, it ensures you see content that best suits your interests. In conclusion, I'll wrap up my thoughts. I hope you'll take me up on the invitation to set up an account today, so you can subscribe to the channel and many other channels that pique your interest. Myself and other YouTubers thank you. Regarding the overlays, there are some thin welded overlays up at the toe cap here. You can see the Hoka logo on the lateral side section here. If we turn toward the counter area of the shoe, we can see the Hoka bird back here as well, and then finally the sections around the lacing channel have some nice overlays to keep the laces secure. One thing I noticed on the tongue that sits below the overlay along the lacing channel here, the colors actually kind of bleed in there a bit, but thus far it's just a cosmetic issue, but I wanted to at least mention it so that way you knew. Now as far as the laces, I've used all the eyelet holes they provide in. This gave me the most amount of confidence while out on my runs. On my first run, I didn't use these laces all the way back here, and I struggled to gain confidence in my stride, so that's something I definitely recommend if you have these shoes and if you're looking to feel more confident while out on your runs. All right, let's go ahead and move on the tongue. There's plenty of padding regarding the tongue of the shoe. It didn't feel like it caused any problems during my strides, which I really appreciate. I had no complaints whatsoever with it myself. Next, I'm going to cover all things heel. This will include the collar, the counter, and everything in between. As for the collar, it provides, in my opinion, the right amount of padding around the circumference. Meanwhile, the flare in the back feels plush and conducive if you want to run sans socks. I didn't find the collar too high either, just the right amount of height. Now the counter is made up and stabilized with this plastic piece back here. I kept my ankle secure to ensure there wasn't any internal foot movement, while in combination with the secure lockdown I got from the laces. You won't be able to move this section here even with your hands necessarily. I found it pretty conducive for my runs. If you notice a particular shoe in the past that's had too rigid of a collar, try this one out. I'm sure it won't disappoint. This is a Maximal Chonky Boy shoe with 48 millimeters at the tallest and 43 millimeters at the shallowest end. So tallest, shallowest. And there's a 6 millimeter drop. Now, on the other hand, the ability of the shoe, in my opinion, needs to be discussed further. I'll be sure to cover more details on that here in a moment. I want to talk to you next about the midsole cushioning, the convex carbon plate, as well as the overall ride and experience running in the shoe. The shoe will make you feel like you're towering over individuals that you once thought were much taller than you, which is great for some, but might make someone with a height complex feel even more self-conscious. I personally love the height myself. I love the cushioning as well. I love there's a really comfortable ride while running and walking. And for runners looking to have a more comfortable experience during their weekly activities, in my opinion, this combines the best of both worlds. Both soft or forgiving, along with poppy and a bouncy ride. In all fairness, what I experienced in this shoe was what I wanted in the New Balance Morphe 4. So if you like that shoe and you want something that has a little bit more bounce, a little bit more pop, and not such a late onset mushy midsole that it had toward the end of its life there, I would check this out for sure. Speaking of which, what's that one thing in a shoe that you find is a make or break aspect about a pair of shoes? For example, you might find yourself saying, I will never buy a pair of shoes that doesn't have fill in the blank. Let me know in the comments below. Let's talk Meta Rocker. The Meta Rocker is the shape of the shoe that's intended in giving you, the runner specifically, an advantage geometrically from this portion of the midfoot. So when the Meta Rocker, or rocker geometry, or rocker for short, is placed just behind my midfoot, I find the shoe to be an advantage to be running in because I'm already landing on the decline section or the downhill portion of the rocker itself. So if I land here and the rocker starts about here, I can already start to descend and kind of roll right through my stride. The rest of my stride as I roll forward is taken care of by gravity and my weight distribution. So all in all, the Meta Rocker, or rocker for short, is a really well-designed feature in the Skyward X. Now, I mentioned earlier the carbon plate. Let's talk about that next. Hoka has designed their carbon fiber plate similarly to a few different other designs. It's a double H design, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a convex design, and you can actually see it in this little open area in the outsole, giving runners a nice pop during each toe off. Unlike earlier iterations of carbon fiber plates such as the Saucony Endorphin Pro version 1, you won't have to go looking for the plate, meaning you don't need to land in a very narrow or specific area of the shoe to get the benefits of the carbon fiber plate underfoot, because all in all, it's very noticeable right away. If you've never run in a carbon fiber shoe before, I definitely encourage you to stop by, visit one of your local running stores. It's an experience in shoes unlike any you've had before. Last thing, cosmetically, you can see the plate under here, under the shoe, as well as the lateral part of the shoe here near the midsole. These areas here are to actually add some stability for the shoe itself. So there's some frames that they talk about in the shoe here, both on the medial and the lateral part of the shoe. These are just these raised areas in the midsole foam where basically your foot kind of sit. People described it as like a bucket seat. I guess that's a pretty decent way of describing it. But it's kind of in a U shape here. So from here to here. And it's meant to add stability to keep you from having it feel too squirrely. I don't actually feel that it added much stability to the shoe itself. If you're a neutral runner or even a pronated runner, I believe this shoe will be best for you. However, if you're someone who supinates or does so excessively, I'm not sure the shoe would really be right for you. So as an example, as someone who sits within a safe range between neutral and supination myself, while standing or walking, it feels like there's a little bit of a drop on the outermost section of the midfoot here, the lateral side specifically. It feels different to standing or walking in the Mach 6s and even the Speedgoat 6s. It just feels like there's a lack of midsole in this section here versus over here. It hasn't affected my stride, and it's not even likely something the casual runner would notice. Just wanted to at least share that, so if you're one who supinates, this shoe might not necessarily be the best one for you. I take a guided approach, so go into a running store, get fitted, see how it works for you. So please hit that like button if you found anything helpful in this video thus far. Please leave a comment as well about what you found helpful so others can share in your discovery or in the community conversation. Thanks so much. Now, the outsole, which gave me confidence while out on my runs as far as weather conditions. I even took these out on the track atop the cruise ship deck one morning while we were on vacation, my family and I, and although it was a little squeaky, a little noisy, amusingly so, I felt good about running on potentially slippery surfaces, as they had recently hosed off the surface of the track earlier that morning. Initially, I couldn't find on their website or videos or social media marketing, anything like that that gave me information regarding the materials of this outsole or even what they called it. So I actually reached out to one of the Hoka reps I know and asked the rep for clarification. And he clarified with me this is in fact their high abrasion rubber, and clarified further it's an in-house compound that Hoka themselves has designed and manufactured. Now, after putting 40 miles on the shoe, you can be the judge of the condition of this outsole. In my opinion, it's still too early to tell what the outsole durability will look like over the next several hundred miles. I felt like there's a significant delta between myself and other reviewers out there, namely, I'm a bit of an outlier being that I'm a heavier weight runner. So first of all, from my observations, friends and others who are in the running space, those who review shoes like myself have all pretty much across the board said, expect to get a lot of life out of this outsole rubber. That's all well and good. Some of you may or may not be surprised when observing the current state of this tread. Needless to say, my weight adds a layer of complication in factoring the durability of shoes, especially for those who don't understand how much weight plays a part in the durability over time of a shoe. This is more representative of the fact that my weight category More specifically, my weight is 215 pounds, typically of pure muscle. Maybe not pure muscle, but still. All that being said, most people in the lighter weight category who pick this shoe up will likely find it's much more durable than what I've experienced thus far. That being said, now in the world of carbon fiber plate and everyday training shoes, as far as Hoka themselves has categorized the shoe, how does the shoe compare to others in the same price range? Now, recommending someone to purchase or to not purchase a shoe based upon a specific price is something I do not consider part of my job as a reviewer. That's your job as someone who weighs all the categories and all the details yourself. I'm not going to count the money in your pockets, to borrow the colloquialism. However, speaking as a consumer of running shoes myself and considering multiple different factors, such as similar shoes out on the market, prices of those same shoes, and also shoes that outperform this one, I feel like I at least have an idea if it were presented to me with the opportunity to either purchase or pass on the shoe. So for $225, I feel this price is already outside of my personal budget for a daily trainer. An everyday training shoe as Hoka has categorized it. So that's where I'm starting. This is based purely upon the amount of money I'd budget for a daily trainer and what I believe is within my personal means. I found Hoka's shoe itself that was just as agreeable for daily miles is the Mach 6. It's sitting right behind me here. And it's only $140. However, if someone were to use this solely as a racing shoe, that's where I begin to see a case for this shoe. Being that this has the added element of the carbon fiber plate, let's turn the kaleidoscope for yet another perspective. It's difficult for me to rationalize purchasing this shoe as a racing shoe when at an expo I purchased at a discount my current pair of Metaspeed Sky Pluses for the exact same price. $225, which in my opinion is as renowned of a racing shoe as the Nike Alpha Flies. Even Hoka's Cielo X1 for $275 or the Rocket X2 for $250 are Hoka's premier racing shoes. And as such, it begs the question, where does this shoe fit into a rotation? A marketing professional would be the first to tell you that if a product or advertisement doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't make it a bad product or a bad advertisement. It simply means that you aren't the target demographic the brand is targeting. Well, I have to take an honest step back and say, I am not the target demographic for this shoe. So, who do I believe this target demographic is? Well, for starters, someone who wants a premier racing feel in a daily trainer. Someone who wants their rotation to feel as innovative and as advanced as possible in modern technological shoe advances. If we spin the kaleidoscope one last time, my biggest case for purchasing this shoe is that of a runner who's willing to spend a little bit more on a shoe, one shoe, instead of purchasing multiple shoes to build out a rotation. So often, people like myself have a very specific idea of what is good as far as purchasing shoes. Every runner should have more than one pair of running shoes. These shoes should have different purposes, so on and so forth. You should have multiple daily trainers so the foam doesn't wear out too soon, too quickly, so on and so forth. But if I'm being honest, new runners, or even runners who are simply using or used to running in one pair of shoes for all their miles, and yes, I do know very talented and fast runners who fit inside this box, those types of runners seem best for this shoe. If they're reaching the end of life for a pair of shoes, and say they're also wanting to experience what a carbon plate can do, but they're still single shoe minded, I think this shoe would be a great choice for that type of runner. So coming back down from my tangent, we see that Saucony, ASICS, Adidas, and even PUMA all have compelling trainers with plates at more affordable prices. So I personally have a hard time believing that I'd want to put forth the money for this shoe when Hoka has other daily trainers at a more affordable price, while also having range-specific shoes for just a little bit more. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's so helpful in letting me know how much you appreciate the content I'm putting out by doing so. Thanks so much. Well, that concludes my review of the Hoka Skyward X. I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure you hit the like button if you did, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future content from the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and the next time anybody asks you what your favorite running YouTube channel is, just tell them it's time to run. Oh, hold on. If you're someone who's been watching my videos for a while, or if you're interested in future content for the channel, but you've yet to set up a YouTube account, I want to personally invite you to set up a YouTube account today. Subscriptions are one important way of how I'm able to measure success on my videos and what I see people want to see next. The downside of you not having a YouTube account is that whenever you open YouTube, is that it's not tailored to you. So hear me out. Here's a scenario for you. Maybe you found an informational, helpful, funny video, a perfect trifecta, maybe much like this video. You didn't take the time to like it or subscribe to the channel. Well, fast forward several months later and you're in a conversation with a friend and it reminds you of this video you saw. Maybe you want to share with your friends the Hoka Skyward X review that you liked and you watched on YouTube. Well, you gotta show your friend. You just have to share it. The only problem is it's been so long since you've watched it that you have no way of remembering the YouTube channel. This is Time to Run. This is the Time to Run YouTube channel on which it was published. Searching for keywords can be a pain and may not result in you finding the video, etc. This is a classic example of the downsides of not having a YouTube account. You're at a disadvantage. So when you have a YouTube channel, you can save the video into one or multiple playlists, or better yet, you can show your support to a YouTuber like myself who went through all the work of making the video you liked by creating an account, and you can subscribe to the channel on which it was made, so you can rewatch it too. It's super easy to set up and doesn't require a Gmail specific email. All that being said, I hope you'll take me up on this invitation, personal invitation, to set up an account today so you can subscribe to my channel and many other channels that pique your interest. Myself and other YouTubers thank you. Thanks so much for watching, especially toward the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.